Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport Live. Once again, bringing you all the action tonight is myself, Dan Davis, as sadly Matthew Duffin's internet is still playing up. So it'll be me bringing you all the action here this evening once again after a fun-filled evening of Who Darren Cup last night for the M2s. We continue things off here for the Pro-Am Championship here at SPA-Francorchamps for week 7. And we're coming, like I said, to the business end of the championship. The man to beat, though, in this championship has been the man of Benny Varga, who has been quite quick and quite dominant in this championship. Last time out, he did win, I believe, the last race of Mount Panorama. So he is back on a winning streak here. And can he continue on with that going into tonight's race? That's the question. So the way the format obviously works here this evening is we have a practice session currently underway at the minute. It's less than 9 minutes left of this session, and within that 9 minutes these guys will make their few changes and adjustments before the night comes. Looks like there's no rain forecast for the rest of the week here for SimPlay Motorsport, so it is looking like a dry session for the Pro-Ams and for the pros later on this week. The way the format works is we'll be going into a sprint race in a few moments time. 15-minute sprint based on the championship reverse grid order, which I will go through the championship order very soon, and obviously just imagine that reversed. But yeah, that's how that looks. Then we go into a short break and then into a qualifying session, where in that session that will determine the grid order going into the feature race, which is an hour-long race, and obviously fuel is the only thing that is required for them to add. The tyres are optional, but the fuel is a 25-second stop, so everyone must be able to stop in that time and take some fuel. We may have Matt Wright for company a little bit later on, but either way you'll be stuck with me this evening, bringing you all the action here for the 7th round of the season here at SPA-Francorchamps for the Pro-Am Championship. So start out looking like he is quickest of the session at the minute in that Porsche, which is surprising. Actually, the Porsche is looking quite competitive here in the Pro-Am category. Not only that, we've got Hunt up there and Page as well. A circuit that requires a lot of straight line advantage as well, but it seems like the Porsche seems to have a little bit of an edge over the rest of the cars. Possibly in that middle sector is where it's possibly finding all the time. Actually, let's have a look at the times at the minute. And actually not. It is the it's not the middle sector where it's the strongest. It's actually the first and final. So I can eat my own words on that one. So yeah, me thinking that the Porsche is going to be stronger in those sectors is actually the strongest in the it's strongest in the middle. It seems to be not the fastest there currently at the minute, but it's the fastest in the first and the final sectors. Excuse me. So as I said, Stoddard currently leading the way at the minute at the top of the standings. Last week's sprint winner, that is Wainwright. He was currently sat second at the minute in the Ferrari and looking also quite competitive again this evening. But once again, keep your eyes on Benny Varga. He's the man who is on form at the minute and could take his title. Regarding the championship standings, it is looking like this. For the silver class, it is Benny Varga leading away from Lino in that second place position. Williams in that third place with Wolski in fourth. Unsworth in fifth with Gabino in sixth. The Block in seventh with a Drone Lander in eighth. Leach in ninth with Argent in 10th. Millington in 11th with Taylor in 12th. Hunt in 13th with Craig in 14th. Peckman. Sorry, I think he called him Peckman. Peckman sat in 15th place position with Lee sat 16th. Williams in 17th with Greaves in 18th. Broom in that 19th place position. Johnson in 20th. Stoddard in 21st. Wainwright 22nd. Old Sim Racer 23rd. Waste 24th. And Cummings in that 25th position. Regarding the Pro-Am bronze, it is Betterson who leads the way in his Lexus ahead of Marex in P2, Storick in P3, Tucker P4, Best P5, Privet P6, Atherton P7, Smith P8, Page P9, Schemo Skimo in P10, and Cherrymore in 11th. Regarding the team championship, it is Audio Sport leading away ahead of SimPlay Racing, ahead of 4Q Motorsport, and then Real Time Racing. Solar Racing in P5 with Team Murloc P6, Quantum Motorsport in P7, Black and Blue Racing in 8th, Greasy Bandits 9th, Team Aspire in P10, Balkan Sim Hub team in 11th, SC Racing in 12th, Bearded Racing 13th, Billy No Mates 14th, and Pages Racing team in that final 15th place position. So I've probably just broken my controller now, which would be fantastic. But obviously we've still got loads to come yet this season. Obviously we've still got 3 rounds left to go after this one, which will be somehow I'm all tangled up. Hang on. Yeah, so we still got 3 rounds left of the championship. We got Kyle Army, Kota, and Donington Park, all midday races as well. So something to keep an eye on going in towards the final rounds of the season. Plenty of points to gain, plenty of opportunities for drivers to nab wins and gain opportunities while they can. So, like I said, anything is possible in these last few rounds. So coming to the end of this session, Stoddard looking like he's not going to be beaten in this session as Wolski goes up into P3. And like I said, the pack is relatively close here at Spa. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified, as you'll be kept up to date with everything that is going on here at SimPlay Motorsport. Have a look at our fantastic sponsors as well, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. All their informations are in the link below, and make sure you give them a follow on all their social media. And yeah, have a look at our social media as well. You don't want to be a part of the action in the new year as well. Sadly, we will not be taking any more sign-ups towards the back end of this season, but we will be opening up the door for the new season coming around in the new year. We'll get Christmas out of the way, and like I said, we'll get people signed up and ready to go racing as that Cherrymore is done. Actually, now just wait for the end of this session. So what do we think of this fantastic circuit here at Spa? Not the easiest circuit at all. Obviously, very famous, very well known, and like I said, you really have to find the limits around here. I've never been very good around this circuit, a circuit that I tend to not gel with very well. I guess I can't quite get the flow of it. I think the corners are much longer. Corners are much longer than other circuits, and obviously the flowing nature for this circuit for me doesn't tend to suit my driving style. But either way, it does suit others. But yeah, we're just coming to the end of the session, and I said the top 8 separated by just over a second. Even Johnson there in the top 9, so top 10 or 1.3 separating the group at the minute. And it's nice to see a variety of cars. As I said, surprising to see the Porsche this competitive. Wasn't expecting the Porsche to be this good around this circuit, but like I said, been proven wrong before, and they'll see how they all get on this evening. So we've only 30 seconds left of the session to go. And I said, it's just the opportunity for drivers just to find the small little changes they need doing to the cars and adapting to the setup and everything, so that they are comfortable and they got their fuel mapping right and they know exactly how much they're going to be taking into this one. That's the end of the session, and let's see how we all pan out towards the end of the sprint. So obviously the way the sprint works is reverse of the championship order that I read out earlier. So Varga will be going towards the back of the pack, but only in the silver class. As they now return to pit lane, we are now just waiting for Atherton to finish his lap. I believe it's just Atherton that we're waiting on. The 53, that is, yep, Atherton, aka DJ Phil. Just waiting on him to complete his session. Even everybody in the chat, nice to see a lot of you in the chat and getting involved. As Schemo there just looking like his internet may cut out as DJ Phil does a little practice session of coming into pit lane. Sped a little bit too much to 79. We now wait, nope, sorry, the 19 we're now waiting for, which is Gabino, who last season was running a lovely red and black livery, and this season he's gone for the black and blue livery, so which is nice to see a change for him. As he now comes through the bus stop chicane to finish his run and see where he goes from there. So here we go, reverse grid order ready and raring to go. As you can see, all the silvers, I said golds, so I can't remember what I'm saying now. All the silvers now. All the silvers to the front of the grid, top 19, as you can see there. Varga right in the midst of them, as is Lino as well, who's been looking quite competitive and quick. And Beto obviously looking very strong for his bronze category as well, which is nice to see them taking the fight to some of the silver classes as well, so all still to fight for in the bronze. But Wainwright and Stoddard, I think the last few rounds have been alternating between the two of sprint wins, so we'll see who's going to come out on top on this one. Can Johnson or Broom or someone else take the win? Greaves there currently sat P5, another man to keep an eye on. I said the Porsche looks good, looks competitive.
And how important is qualifying to you in a 24-hour race? 20 seconds.
As we now wait for the drivers to get their final tweaks and changes made. Only a 15-minute session, so it will not be very long, this one. And like I said, it gives you opportunities for new guys to take the win here, as things will be ready and raring to go very shortly. So let's have a quick run through of the grid order. It's Wainwright who starts on pole with Stoddard in second. Johnson will start in third, while in fourth place will be Broom. In fifth will be Greaves. Paul Williams will start in P6. There's Lee in P7. Peckman starting in 8th, while Craig is in 9th. Hunt is in 10th, with Millington in 11th. Joan Lander is starting in 12th place position, with De Block in 13th. Gabino starts 14th, with Unsworth in that 15th place position. Wolski starts 16th, ahead of Williams in that 17th place position. Nino will start 18th, and then it is Benny Varga in 19th place position. Cherrymore starts 20th, with Skimore starting in 21st, and it's Page in 22nd, Smith in 23rd. Atherton didn't make the start, so Privet will start in P25, and then it's Best 26th, Tucker 27th, Marex in 28th, and Beto bringing up the rear in the Lexus. So guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you do not miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. All the action is to come very, very shortly. It's going to be fast, it's going to be intense, and the elbows are definitely going to be out. We're looking forward to this one. A night race here at SPA-Francorchamps. An iconic circuit. said, who is going to take the glory in the first race here this evening? That is the question. A Ferrari and Porsche starting on the front row. Both looking very good, both looking very competitive. And that said, we will see how this all pans out at the end of this one. Reminder, tomorrow night the pros will be hitting the circuit here at Spa for the next round of their season. Kieran O'Reilly looking very, I won't say, sorry, it wasn't Kieran O'Reilly actually, I think it's Wolski. It's Silth, sorry, who's leading the championship ahead of Rook, ahead of Rozalski, and then it's Kieran O'Reilly, and then it is myself for your top 5. But it's all still to play for the top 5, separated by 100 points for the pro. Regarding the gold class, it is Vitos versus Langley. And Harris is not too far off that fight either, as is Hibbs. So it's all still to play for in every single category. And in the teams, it is MSA who are 50 points ahead of Team Audio Sports. So those guys kind of in their own little fight at the minute. But here for the Pro-Ams, we keep an eye on Varga and the rest of the boys and how they're going to perform here this evening. They need to gain good, valuable points for this one and try and extend the gap as they possibly can. Varga just needs to stay out of trouble. He's looking good, he's looking competitive, and can he just keep the win for the championship in reach? Doesn't need to try too hard, doesn't need to push too hard, just needs to keep his nose clean. As they now come into the final few corners here, getting themselves prepped and ready to go into a 2x2 formation very shortly as they go through, I've already forgotten the name of the corner names again. A circuit that I've driven so much and I can't even remember the names of the corners. That's the one I want. SPA-Francorchamps. I think it's Blanchimont. That's the one. And I always forget that when they come up to the bus stop chicane, that will not be the start finish line. It's actually the other side of Les Sources. So the first corner they'll be heading up to is Eau Rouge and Radion. But it's going to be Stoddard versus Wainwright on the front row. Who's it going to be? That is the question. And there's a poll gone out who you think is going to win this one. Guys, get your votes in on who you think is going to win it. As you now wait, as you're about to get things underway for the first race this evening here at Spa-Francorchamps for round 7 of the championship. We now wait for starters' orders. And we are green and racing here at Spa for round 7 as we head up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. The Porsche trying to keep his nose in front, but Wainwright gets the jump as now everyone else works their way through the tricky uphill S's. But so far so good as everyone manages to negotiate Eau Rouge and Radion much better than the M2s did the other night for the Hoot Darren Cup, as they had wet tricky conditions, but in this case it is dry as they head up towards the right-hander now. And you can see here you've got a few cars all trying to get into position as we see Unsworth there. I believe also Williams is in the middle of all of that. There's also Varga trying to work his way through the blocks. Looks like he's been pushed a little bit wide there. No, he hasn't. He's actually managed to gain a position on Craig, but a very good clean start here from everyone. And we managed to negotiate all of the first couple of corners without too much chaos. As we see there, we're on board with Privet, who's trying to go around the outside of Marex there, and he will lose out, I'm afraid, as the Aston Martin goes a bit wide, as Beto now working his way through the order. And again, a relatively good clean start as Wainwright gets the start he would have wanted and pulls away from Stoddard. Any other fights going on at the minute? Go on board with Craig. He's got a little bit of pressure from Millington. Craig was passed earlier on by the block. As Williams there, we're on board with, has he stayed ahead of Varga? No, Varga is on the move. So Benny Varga has had a good start and starting to make his way up the order. Where was Lino in all that? Lino hasn't really gone forwards. He's still he's got Smith for company in the Honda as they now go through. Up towards the bus stop chicane, there you go. Looks like Varga is now trying to put more pressure on another car just ahead. That was Drone. Oh my god, there's cars absolutely everywhere as they're all waited to negotiate their way round, and others decide to pit, and in the middle of all that is Benny Varga. He's struggling to get going. He's hit the Lamborghini and they've all dropped to the back of the pack. Some still wet, and Varga's dropped it again. So Benny Varga, your championship leader, struggling to get going. Where was Lino and all that? He's managed to negotiate all of it and gain some precious positions here. So absolute chaos at the start of this race. Come to the end of the bus stop chicane as the block is on the back of Peckman and looking to try and make a move on him, but can't do so. Stoddart, meanwhile, looking to hunt down Wainwright as they come towards the chicane. Greaves, though, in the other Porsche, looking like he's got a few places. All going straight on there was Lee, failing to make the corner. He sets fastest lap of the race because he was obviously valid, but he's not going to be valid after that one. The McLaren there, that is Williams. He's got ahead of the block, and it is a McLaren four running at the minute. But cars in pit lane with Johnson, Broom, Hunt. Who else is in there? Wolski, Williams, Best, Dronelander, Millington, Atherton and Varga all in pit lane trying to get themselves out of the trouble, but it's a very long pit lane. Meanwhile, behind, Marex is working his way through the order. He has got who has he got there? It's Page who's working his way through the order, and he's going wheel to wheel at the minute with Tucker, who's just lost out there. He's going to have to fall back into position as he goes through Pouon, and that is Cherrymore in the midst of all that. Beto trying to work his way through the order also, but ended up in all the kerfuffle. And we're starting to see some green drops happening, so people are now leaving pit lane. De Block, meanwhile, giving Williams a little bit of a run for his money. Track is still fast, so there's not the optimum grip that they would want on circuit right now. As it goes through the left-hand kink of Blanchimont, and De Block still giving him a little bit of a hard time for Williams as they head up to the braking zone. And there, De Block, a last-minute braking, goes down the inside, contact with Williams, and that was a bit of a push to pass there. He wasn't really in control of his car. He understeered into him, and Gabino now attacking Lino. So Lino, although Varga has ended up in trouble, and Lino goes into pit lane, he's under pressure from Gabino. In the pits also comes Smith. There's a lot of cars now thinking to possibly pit on this lap. 5 minutes already done, and you can see we've already done 2 laps and it's already been absolute chaos. Who's come out where? Johnson, meanwhile, is the leader of all the pitters, ahead of Hunt, ahead of Broom, then it's Wolfsky and Williams as well. Varga, meanwhile, dropped to the back of the pack as Best has got damaged, and Atherton as well. So Varga's got all the work to do if he wants to work his way back up the order and gain some decent points in this one. But he knows what to do. He knows to be in. He's been quite competitive in recent times, and he should be able to do it. Meanwhile, your top two, Wainwright and Stoddart, still close to one another. 0.5 of a second separating those two. So half a second separating them. It's going to be an interesting fight for the win. As Williams obviously now losing out to De Block, and De Block pulling away. Cherrymore has got Skidmore, Simcoe, there we'll go with that one. I finally have learning to read. Simcoe going on the back of Cherrymore. And Cherrymore looking, trying to hold them off as Tucker is just ahead of him as well in the Lamborghini. It's so nice to see a lot of Lamborghinis back on the grid. Gabino heading down towards Pouon, kind of in no man's land at the minute. As the block looked like he was closer to Williams, but is not the case. And these two still separating each other by 0.7 of a second, so the gap is ebbing and flowing between the Ferrari and the Porsche. But they're looking good at the minute. Lee, though, kind of in 5.5 behind those two, so a lot of work for them to do. Greaves has now come out of pit lane. Where is Johnson after all that? He's only now going up Eau Rouge and Radion. And Greaves has kept a good gap there as he heads up towards the far end and the beginning sector of Sector 2. That's the Porsche looking good at the minute. Working his way through the order. What else is happening at the minute as Wainwright, I think it's either he's made a mistake. Wainwright has made a mistake. He's ended up dropping. Stoddard now leads this race. Lee's gone ahead, now the block, and he's now stuck in front of Unsworth because Williams has pitted, as is Peckman as well. So a mistake there from Wainwright has dropped him down the order, which is not good for him. Greaves now leading Pitter, ahead of Johnson, ahead of Hunt, ahead of Broom. Then it's Lino, who's ahead of Wolski and Sam. So good jump for him in that one. Smith is in 20th. Page in 21st with Beto in 22nd. Drone Lander in 23rd, and Vargas still only 24th at the minute and still got a lot of work to do as we are past the halfway stage already in this first race. Up the Eau Rouge and Radion goes Craig, trying to catch Simcoe, but he can't get close enough at the minute. Cherrymore pressurizing Tucker towards the end of this sector. As Unsworth on the back of Wainwright. Wainwright making a mistake somewhere. I'm not sure where exactly as we see there Best getting out of the way of the block. Stoddard now extends his gap as Lee's actually closer to Stoddard actually. So I'm not sure, maybe Wainwright and Stoddard may have came together. I can't see any damage to the Porsche, but Wainwright, nor damage to the Ferrari either, but they're closer than I thought they were going to be as the leading pitters now come through Lesos, and Williams and Peckman have not gone green yet. I'm expecting them to come around the Broom kind of area. There's Hunt now coming down towards Eau Rouge and Radion as Williams and Peckman are about to be released. They are. And I thought so. Broom would have been the one to keep an eye on for this one. As up the hill goes Hunt. And there is Broom going through the S's, and he will get the first McLaren of Peckman. And he should be able to get the second one of Williams if he's got better momentum. And Williams obviously struggling to get up to pace straight away, but he will just hang in there as they come to the end of the first sector. Through Blanchimont we go again for Tucker, who's still got Cherrymore for company, and now Craig has joined the party. Also Cinco also just behind them as well. Broom meanwhile still got Williams ahead of him. He's now got Peckman coming to hunt him down. Wolski's holding up Lino, Smith, Williams and Smith. So Smith actually sticking to the back of these silver drivers at the minute and doing a good job of it in that Honda. Wolski is the cork in the bottle. Meanwhile, further back, Beto has got ahead of Page. So position gain for him. Meanwhile, Millington digging onto the back of Drone Lander, but has dropped further back. Varga, meanwhile, not really making any inroads in the cars in front. And that is a Porsche in between them. Not sure who that, I think is it Stoddard? No, it's not Stoddard. He's way out in front at the minute. Lee decided to pit. Which Porsche is that? It's not Greaves, it's Page. Oh yeah, so Page has ended up dropping behind Beto. The tables did update and I don't know the liveries. Stoddard continuing on through at the minute. The block also bringing that gap down 3.3. So whatever's gone on in that Porsche, it's not seemed to be good in a long run here by the looks of things, as the guys are starting to hunt them down. And all these guys at the minute still yet to pit from Cherrymore up. And with 4 minutes still left of the session, anything can happen here. As we continue looking down the order at the minute, Smith is through Lino. Smith has actually got ahead of Williams and Lino, so maybe possible contact between those two. As Beto's there with him as well. They were on the back of Wolski, and Wolski's pulled away. Who else was involved in? There was another driver, I think. But Lino is now in this gaggle of cars. Oh, and Williams has had a moment. He's had a big moment. He's in the wall, and the Lamborghinis have had to avoid him. And Paul Williams is in the wall. He's got damage. Where's Varga? Varga's already through the back straight already. So whatever's happened to those guys, they've dropped down the order massively here and losing valuable points. Meanwhile, Lee is now your net leader after the pit stop. Greaves was in that gaggle, but he's lost out here to Lee, and Johnson's looking good in the Nissan as well. Broom looking good in his Honda as well. He's trying to hunt down Williams, so all sorts of drama happening here. Oh, Lino's off again. Page is there with him. That's cutting No Name. What has happened to Beto? Beto is in the middle of all that. He's dropped back behind Lino, Page and Varga, so I'm not sure if Beto had a moment or got collected. As yeah, Beto making a few little errors here and ended up dropping behind these guys. Who else we got in this? Simcoe has got Millington for company as well. So there's fights happening up and down the order for sure, as Johnson's trying to hunt down Greaves. That Nissan should out-drag the Porsche, but the Porsche is so good in the corners, it'll negate that. So Stoddard was obviously our net leader, but we'll see what happens when it comes to the pit stops, because Lee is the leading pitting car, and the block was catching him, and as was Lee was catching Stoddard as well. The 311, that was Peckman. He's had a moment at the end of Blanchimont, so he's had a spin. Stoddard has got going, and where was Lee? He's only now coming to Eau Rouge and Radeon, so Stoddard has actually gained quite a bit of a gap there. He was only a couple of seconds ahead of Lee, and he's gained quite a bit after that. So good stop from him. The block has ended up still a little bit further back, so I think Stoddard just had a better stop there, managed to nail it. As Cherrymore gets himself a stop and go. Oh, and there's loads of cars coming up the hill there, as Beto is one of... Oh, Varga nearly comes together there with Page, and Page dropped down the order a little bit. Leader is on the final lap. As they all head up towards the right-hander here, and Varga goes around the outside of Page, gain position there, but there is Wolfsky, and Page has had to avoid him, and all sorts of carnage at the top of the hill. Wolfsky trying to get going once again, but it's absolutely carnage, cars absolutely everywhere, and how they've all managed not to hit Wolfsky, I do not know. But whatever ever happened to Wolfsky, he's dropped down the order, as Unsworth and Wainwright have now pitted. And Lee nowhere near him at the minute, but Greaves, it's going to be Greaves, because he can see Johnson right behind him and giving him a bit of a hard time. Hunt, meanwhile, hunting down the block. So, like I said, the Porsches looked good here. They looked quite competitive. Wainwright in pit lane at the minute, but Stoddard quite comfortable out in front. 4.2 is the gap, as Lee having a spectacular race here in the GT3s. Meanwhile, Greaves goes wide through Blanchimont, but he goes to defend the inside of the chicane. And Nissan can't find a way through. That's to fall in line. Varga now on the back of Lino, his championship rival. These two going at it down towards the Blanchimont corner, and Varga is going around the outside. A job done. Lino really not fighting that one that too hard, to be honest. So he's ended up just giving up the fight. That's Beto now looking to make a move on Peckman, and he goes around the outside. Beautifully done, as Varga for a moment there looked up the inside but thought better of it, as Peckman a little bit slow on exit, and Beto absolutely flying through the pack at the minute. But Smith is the leading bronze driver, and I think that is why Beto is on the move. He's trying to hunt him down, as Cherrymore still has to serve his stop and go penalty. Meanwhile, Wainwright has now come out of pit lane. He's ahead of Unsworth, who was also in pit lane, also where they've dropped down. They're ahead of Williams. As they now go through the end and towards the end of this race, are looking good out in front, with Lee in second place, Greaves in that third place position. Johnson not too far behind the block, working his way onto the back of him, but Wainwright with fastest lap. Whatever happened in the first half of that race really affected him, as Gabino now giving the Honda a little bit of a hard time. Can't find a way through at the minute. Meanwhile, Lino's stuck behind Peckman. Varga's just ahead. Oh, down the inside goes Drolanda. Very last minute dive there as Tucker saw it coming, let him run wide, and Drolanda just, I don't know if he's obeying to the track limits there, but he's managed to stay in front of Tucker. But Tucker being aware and fair and giving him the racing room. I would have given him not that much, to be fair. That's now Millington now looking up the inside, going through Puan. And once again, Tucker gives the racing room, but it's just being muscled out the way at this moment in time. And again, dropping down the order, the Nissan of Johnson goes around the outside there. And for some reason, the session has ended early. Don't know why, but Stoddard will win this one. He will win the race ahead of Lee. And then I think Johnson will get the win. I think Johnson crosses the line. Yeah, that's not really... I don't know why the session ended that early. Wainwright will finish across the line. Yeah, that's a bit complicated. I don't know why the sessions ended like that. As we'll come into the final chicane. Oh, Lino there sends up the inside of Peckman. And yeah, not really how you do it, Lino, as Peckman not going to be happy with that one. And looks to go up the inside, but doesn't. Gray crosses the line. Drone Lander also, all these guys just coming across the line now. It's a very confusing end to that race. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but the race ended very, very early before even the leader crossed the finish line. So, yeah, a bit of a strange one. I'm not sure how we're going to dissect that one. But that was race one done. It was Stoddard who took the race win. Yeah, we'll be back in a few moments' time, as we will have then the next qualifying session and the feature race coming up very shortly. We'll see you then.
line. Give it all you can.
And we are back live once again, ladies and gentlemen, giving you all the action here at SPA-Francorchamps. That sprint race didn't quite go to the ending that we were hoping for, but either way, hopefully we should have resolved the issues, and hopefully this next race shouldn't really have any issues whatsoever. But yeah, we'll obviously keep a note of what happened towards the end of that race, and obviously make a note of who actually finished where and when we cross the line. As I'm just obviously keeping an eye on what's being said in the Discord, so I know exactly what is going on. But we are back live and underway for the next session, which is a qualifying session, 15-minute session, and these guys obviously need to get themselves a good session underneath and make sure they give them the best qualifying position heading into the next race, which will be an hour-long race. Obviously the feature race, we've got a sprint and a feature, and like I said, they'll be wanting to make sure that they end up top of the session so they get the best opportunity to win in the second race. So Williams is the leading car at the minute out on track. He will be the benchmark, and I believe it's either it's Greaves behind him. Greaves behind him, following the McLaren, and we'll see what the benchmark are. A few drivers still in pit lane currently at the minute. So guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. As we head up towards the hairpin now, as Sam is going to start his lap, and make sure you get a good start going into La Source. A quick look at the championship standings, as drivers now start to be knocked out in this championship. Varga still leads the way with Lino in second, Williams in third, with Wolski in P4, Unsworth P5, Gabino in P6, De Block in P7, Hunt in P8, and P9 is Drone Lander. Millington in P10 with Leach in P11, Argent P12, Craig in 13th with Taylor 14th, Lee in 15th with Peckman in 16th, Greaves in 17th, Sollard in 18th, Williams P in 19th, Johnson in 20th, Broom in 21st, Wainwright 22nd, Old Sim Racer 23rd, and Nukewaste and Cummings are both out of the championship. Regarding the bronze, it's Betterson still leading the way ahead of Morex, and then it's Tucker, Storrock, Best, Privet, Smith, Atherton, Page, Simcoe, and Cherrymore. Regarding the team's championship, Audio Sport has had their championship cut ever so slightly by the SimPlay Racing group, with no Taylor here tonight. It's 89 points now separating those guys, with 4Q Motorsport in P3, Real Time Racing in P4 with Team Murloc P5, Black and Blue Racing in P6, Soldor Racing in P7, Quantum Motorsport in 8, P9 is Greasy Bandits Racing, Team Aspire is in P10, Vulcan Racing Team in P11, SC Racing in P12, Bearded Racing 13th, Billy No Mates in 14th, and Page Racing Team bringing up the rear. So we've just gone into the first part of our session here, and I don't know which screen I'm looking at now. Let's get rid of that one and refresh that one. It's Williams who's now coming to the line to set his first benchmark in this first session. And what is it going to be? It's a 2 at 20.9, but we were seeing 2 at 19s earlier. Greaves, though, does not set a lap time, and Beto goes fastest overall. And a good lap time from the bronze driver there. Who else have we got to the line? Peckman has got a little bit of a McLaren giving him a bit of a hard time. Varga, though, goes top of the session with a 20.4. Peckman had a McLaren behind him. That is Lee that is giving him a bit of a pushing as Best now completes the lap and goes to the side. Wolfsky, meanwhile, is in P6. Lee ended up P4 with that attempt. Who's coming to the line at the minute? Craig is on a lap. Greaves is also out on a lap. We've got Wainwright. We've got a lot of cars coming into the final sector, but we will go on board with Page as Millington goes P4 with his lap time. Williams now goes P4 now as well as Page comes to the line and puts themselves up into P6. The Aston Martin driver going into 12th place position. And Wainwright goes fastest overall with a 19.6, so a good lap time from him. Goes top of the session. And trying to figure out who's that coming out of the final corner. It is Atherton. Across the line, he goes 16th with that one. Cabino not set in a lap time currently at the minute. Nor is Stoddard. He's coming to the final part of the sector. And Broom now coming to the line. What's he going to produce? Lino, meanwhile, goes only 14th with his lap time. And here comes Broom now to the line. What's it going to be? 13th for him on that attempt. So Wainwright sets the pace at the minute. But we still got all sorts of drivers yet to come to the line, including this man, Stoddard, who took the win in the first race. And we'll see what lap time he can produce as he comes through the bus stop chicane. Oh, he loses the rear end. Does he hit the wall? No, he doesn't, but he's going to have a bad start to this next lap. So not the end to that session or that lap he would have wanted. But either way, he's kept it out the wall momentarily. But Williams is now back around. As Williams crosses line, still fourth with that lap time. Wainwright's time is quite mighty as Beto still sat in P3, so lap time's not really improving. Varga does improve his lap time. Hunt also goes up to P3. So there are some improvements as the track will genuinely just get a little bit faster bit by bit. We're on board with Millington, who's going through the Blanchimont sector as Wolfsky crosses line, gets within 3/10 of Wainwright. As Lee now crosses line, P4 for him, so an improvement also. Peckman in the end, I can't see him on the board, so it's 14th for him. And another improvement there for another driver that was not able to see who. There's a lot of cars now pushing as they come to the line. Williams goes 8th with that attempt. Wainwright, is he going to improve on what he has currently? A 19.6. On a fast track for the Pro-Am boys, that's particularly quick around here, and he does a 19.3, so a lot faster from him there. But we still got plenty of time for others to improve. The 5.31 is coming to the end of the sector. I think it's the 5.31, or is it the 5.61? No, I can't read these tiny numbers. Whoever it was did improve. It was Unsworth, I think. Yes, it was. It was Unsworth and Atherton who crossed the line. My terrible eyesight is not really helping me out at the minute. The 888, I know that's definitely a number. And that's Broom. He's coming out into the final corner. And he goes in 19th place position. And now we wait for Stoddard, who's obviously not going to have the best of laps on this one. He's going to be a little bit off the pace. Obviously due to the poor exit that he had out of the chicane. But more importantly, he needs to get a lap time on the board. He's currently starting 24th. He comes to the line now. There's going to be no lap time. So he had invalidated as well. So struggling here is the Porsche driver right now. As you know, go back to Williams, currently 8th at the minute. And Beto's lap in the Lexus was quite impressive. Williams does not improve. Does Greaves? No. So no improvement for those guys. Varga is in the final sector, and he doesn't look like he's on a lap either. We look to Hunt instead. Is he going to improve? No, he does not. So a few drivers here towards the end of this session just struggling to find those extra bits of sectors that they need to put together. Here comes Varga, no improvement either. Wolski into the final sector. Is he going to improve on what he has? To the line now, 0.6 of a second off, and he's still 0.6 of a second off, as Wainwright is also still on an improved lap by the looks of things. The 311, that was Peckman. He did not improve, and he stays where he is. The 180, that is Williams coming to the line. He goes P7. Gabino also on a lap. He goes to 13th with that one. I believe that is the 82. Is it 82? 84? The block is on a lap. The 7-7 as well. Is Marex. Is he going to improve? Yes, he goes 18th. The block yet to put a lap time on the board. He goes second and gets with under 0.2 of a second. Page, meanwhile, goes P6. So track is starting to ramp up, I think, a little bit here. So keep an eye on improved lap times as the 114. Not sure who that is. That's Unsworth. Stays 5th currently at the minute. As we now look to the 888. Unsworth now looking like he's returning to pits. That's Broom now going a little bit deep through the chicane. And that's going to affect his, not just this run, but also his next attempt, the 168. Sorry, the 169. That is still Stoddard, who's not able to put a lap time together yet. So see if all his sector times finally come together. As he comes to the line. Does go up high, but is it pole position? No, it's currently 3rd at this moment in time. So time to still be found for him. Best not putting a lap together here. He will start from the pit lane by the looks of things, or start from the pit from the back of the pack. And we look to, I believe, Williams once again. No, Williams is in the far end of the circuit, so 68, that is Hunt. No improvement for him. Wolski's on a lap. Is Varga on a lap? He's coming to the line now. So is Varga going to improve on P5? No, he's not. So it's still relatively close. Wolski now coming to the line. Any improvement from him? He does, and does not change position, but he does get within 0.3 of a second of the leader. So improvements are slowly coming bit by bit. The 311, that was Peckman. He did not improve. And he's looking like he's returning to the pit lane also. A few drivers in pit lane currently. As we now go on Williams, who's in the far end of the circuit. He's obviously just come back out of the pit lane, so he's obviously not going to be on improved lapped here, as Marex now comes out of the bus stop chicane. What's this going to be? Is it going to be an improvement on 21st position? It is. He goes to 20th. So lap times are being found. Improvement is being gained, which is good to see. The 84, that is the block, as Wainwright goes fastest overall still with an 18.8, 0.6 faster than anyone else. And that was an impressive lap time from him. Gabino still on a lap, 19. As the number 13 crossed the line. Is there a 13? I don't see a 13. Again, my eyesight's just playing with me, I swear. 888, that is Broom. He's now coming out the final quarter. No improvement from him. But last few attempts here on him. And Wainwright, I think he's quite happy with his lap times. Stoddard in the end did not improve and stays P3 currently at the minute. Wolski's a man to keep an eye on as we come to the end of this session. So Hunt at the minute going to be the man who's coming to the line. As Hunt goes through the final chicane, gets a good exit, gets a good run now to the line. Goes to P8. An improvement there for him. Varga now exits the final chicane. That was Simcoe improving. And Varga doesn't improve. He stays P5. So a few cars now on their last run here. The 107, I think that is. Yeah, the 107, that is Wolski. He will get one more lap out of this, as will the 114. That is Unsworth. So I think the first car to cross the line will be Gabino. Where is Gabino currently on the table? No, he will get another one on the board. He goes up into 12th place position. The 53 is Atherton. He's back in pit lane. A few others back in pit lane. It's the 59. I think that was first to cross the line. Millington did get another lap. So we'll see what he can do with that. The 94, that is Williams. He's coming into the final sector. I think it's the 84 that's on a lap. And it is the Block who goes fastest overall. So Wainwright thinking he's got pole position. And the Block steals it at the last minute as lap times improved. What does Williams could do? He's 13th at the minute. And it's only 8th for him. The best he could do with that lap. We now look to the AAA. That is Broome now coming into Blanchimont. We'll see what lap times he can produce here. Broome, can he make a last minute shock into the final chicane? He goes. And to the line goes Broome. He goes 21st with that one. The 169, that is Stoddard. Is he going to steal pole position away? He gets within 0.4 of a second, but in the end it was very, very close. Beto, another solid qualifying session. He ends up 7th overall. The 68, that is Hunt. And he comes through Blanchimont. Into the bus stop chicane goes Hunt. The number 3, that is Craig. We'll see where he comes in after all this. P15 currently at the minute. Hunt, though, has he found a bit more time? He goes 7th overall, so does improve. The Lamborghini will not improve. He is done. We then got the 107. That is Wolfski, and then a few more cars towards the back end. It is Millington still left to set a lap time here and end the session. But here comes Wolfski to the line. Does not improve and stays where he is. Millington, meanwhile, where is he on the board? He is in a McLaren, I know that. I can't see him. There he is. 14th place position. Currently at the minute into the bus stop chicane he goes. Gets a good exit, gets a good run. And to the line can Stephen Millington improve on 14th place position. He stays where he is, sadly, and will not go any further than that. So the Block takes a shocking pole position right at the very end of that session with Wainwright in 2nd and Stoddard in that P3 position. Those 3 looking very quick as well, only separated by half a second between the top 3. Wolfski starts P4 with this one. Varga in P5, Unsworth P6, Hunt P7, Beto P8, Williams P9, Page in that P10 position. We'll do a run through of the grid order very shortly. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, guys, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport, as we'll be bringing you all the action. Pros tomorrow night. Hopefully Matt's internet will be working. He'll be giving you all the action tomorrow night to see what happens for the pro drivers. But we're about to get things underway here for the feature race for Pro-Am. Also have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. Order information are in the description below. So, grid order looks like this. It is the Block and Wainwright taking up the front row. Stoddard in 3rd with Wolski starting P4. Varga will start in P5 with Unsworth in P6. Hunt in P7 with Beto starting P8. Williams in P9 with Page in P10. That rounds off your top 10. Lee in P11 with Williams in P12. Gabino P13 with Millington starting 14th.
20 seconds.
Craig in 15th with Greaves in 16th place position. Peckman in 17th with Cherrymore in 18th. Simcoe starting 19th with Tucker in 20th. Broome in P21 with Marex in 22nd. Privet in 23rd with Smith 24th. Nino will start 25th. Then it's Atherton 26th. Drone Lander in 27th. Johnson in 28th. And then it is Best at the back of the pack. Leading the bronze, it will be Beto in 1st, Page in 2nd, and 3rd will be Cherrymore. That's the best of your bronze positioning, but it is the the block, who stole pole position for this one. Berserker and Assassin, good luck. Hope this one won't be a strange like the first one. Hopefully, I have the feelings of that as well too. Berserker and Phil, I am not making any comment about that game currently at the minute, as my opinions are very different to others. So yeah, well, probably very similar actually, but I'm not going to be saying anything about PMR at this moment in time. So Carlos pulls away. They're getting ready to race here at Spa for the second time. Make sure you still tune in tomorrow night. Pros hit the circuit, where myself and the rest of the grid for the pro category will be taking on this challenging circuit here at SPA-Francorchamps. A 1 hour race sits ahead of these guys at this moment in time. Who's going to come out on top? That is the question. Is it going to be the McLaren or is it going to be the Porsche? And all an independent top three as well. No teams representing the top category. And it's a Greasy Bandits driver currently sat in that P4 position. But like I said, we will see how this all pans out. Like I said, not quite the top three cars I was quite expecting. I was expecting at least, you know, a couple of BMWs there to really stop the guys as well. But looking at the grid, there's only a handful of BMW, 3 BMWs, a Nissan and a Mustang, and both of them towards the back of the pack. So the pace is relatively even and spread out. So we'll see how they get on. But it is a McLaren on pole. Is McLaren going to win this race? Is McLaren going to win the championship in Formula One? That's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, focusing purely here on the Pro-Ams tonight. As we get things ready to go racing once again here. Feature race is just around the corner. Who is going to take the win? That is the question. As they get their preparations right to the very end here, looking to get those tyres prepped and ready to go for this final race this evening. McLaren versus Ferrari on the front row. How many times have we heard that before? It is, sorry, it's not, yeah, it is Ferrari on the front row. Sorry, it confused me because these guys obviously pass one another in the sector times. So, the block versus Wainwright on the front row. What can the BMW of Wolski do on the second row in that BMW? We shall see as we now wait for the starters' orders. Reminder, as we go through La Source, it will be the next straight where they will be starting the race. As we get ready, as they go into a 2x2 formation, we now wait for starters' orders here for the feature race at Spa-Francorchamps. And we are green and go, racing here at Spa. And Varga's got the jump. He's trying to squeeze himself through a gap that he's not really going to fit through as they all head up the hill. As Stoddard goes a little bit wide, Wolski has to cut the chicane and go through as everyone else also managing to negotiate. Eau Rouge and Radion fairly clean, and once again the Pro-Am's doing a very good job of getting through there. As I say that, there's a couple of cars in the wall. That looks like Millington, and is that Lee? No, it's Williams, I think, as well, as they all head up towards the right-hander. Unsworth taking a little bit too much curb, but it's Wainwright who goes into the second sector, leading this one as the block has made a mistake, as Varga is going wheel to wheel with Unsworth, and Unsworth's dropped down the order as he then head into the right-hander. But it is Wainwright who leads and pulled away from the block, and it is Wolski now up into P3. Stoddard now back up to P4, and Varga now in P5. So the order is a little bit jumbled up, but we see also there is Beto moving up. He's got Williams behind him as well. So a couple of guys gaining a few positions at the start of this one. But everyone else negotiating the first couple of laps here, first couple of sectors very well, as they all manage to survive. And they work their way through the order. Varga on the back of Stoddard and trying to give him a bit of a hard time. Looking to find a way past the Porsche driver. But Wainwright already off and gone, 1.5 down the road. He is long gone into the distance as the block is trying to go with him, but he's got Wolski for company. Heading towards the Blanchimont sector, and Williams is closer to the back of the Lexus, but it's going to be difficult to find a way past on that car. Meanwhile, behind him is Page going a little bit wide as Lee's looking to make an opportunity to come through. And a lot of cars going wide through the exit of Blanchimont. And there it looks like the move of Peckman going around. He's under pressure there from Greaves. So actually, no, Greaves is under pressure, as you'll manage to negotiate even the chicane. So a much better start to this race, as Lino's got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot of cars to try and clear to keep his championship fight alive, with Varga, who's already giving Stoddard a little bit of a headache. Stoddard's actually got past Wolski, so Wolski's made a mistake somewhere. I don't know if it was in the bus stop chicane or what, but he's lost out here, and here comes Varga into the toe, and also the block's made a mistake also. I think he's had to back off, possibly cut in the chicane, and he's had to slow right down here, and he's now having to defend from Wolski. And that's just allowed Wainwright to just disappear the block there. Oh, Varga hits the back of Wolski, and Wolski goes round, and there we go. Contact is made. A lot of cars bouncing and struggling as they manage to try and get themselves going again. And once again, Williams is caught in the middle of that, as is Beto. And I believe Hunt is as well. Yes, he is. He's the one who came up the worst, and he was just minding his own business. So once again, a little bit of a sloppy mess to the end of that first couple of laps there. But Wainwright long gone into the distance and comfortably ahead of the guys behind. Stoddard now back up to second with the block in third. Wolski still in fourth with Varga up into fourth, and he was the one who made the contact, so possible under investigation will be him. So we'll keep an eye on how that pans out. But yeah, Varga gaining an advantage as Unsworth ended up dropping down the order. He's now got Cabino for company, who's went from 13th and now is, I don't know if he's made some places or is that just Unsworth positioning finalised. Yeah, it is. So Cabino's made a couple of places. He's up to P10 and he's now on the back of Unsworth. He's probably got a little bit of rear end damage also. And here we go as they go through the Blanchimont left-hander, and Cabino's trying to keep his nose up the inside but has to back out, and Millington has a much better run through there as well, and up towards the chicane they go. Can Millington brake later? He brakes a little bit too late and ended up going wheel to wheel with Unsworth unintendedly, but nearly made contact. But he does get the job done on Cabino, but Cabino's going to come back up the inside and go around the outside of the McLaren, and it is As You Were. Actually, Millington keeping his nose up the inside of Lesource and gets ahead. Now it's going to be Williams' attempt now to try and get past Cabino. Heading down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Who's going to be the one to back out? It is Cabino. He's not brave enough to go wheel to wheel, but Millington's had a bad run through there. A really poor run, and Williams had to back out. And now Greaves is now onto the back of these three. So these 4 cars all moving left, right and centre, and Millington is the kind of the cork in the bottle. Now there's a Lexus of Beto is now joining the party also. You can see the lights flickering on his car from the damage earlier on, and Williams gets a little bit sideways, and they're all start to concertina up. Meanwhile, Wainwright out in front, not holding the fastest lap no longer. That's Stoddard's now. He's fastest lap of the session, but the block is going with him. Varga a bit of way off the back of those guys. Wolski pulls away from Page, ahead of Lee and ahead of Craig. Unsworth now ahead of Millington, ahead of Cabino, Greaves, Williams, Beto, then it's Peckman, Williams again. Oh, and that was Cherrymores up in the 17th. That was Simcoe going wide. Marex in P19, Tucker, then it's Smith, Dronelander, Lino, Broom, Johnson, Best, Privet and Atherton at the back. Hunt obviously recovering after being made with contact earlier on. As I go through the S's here. Cabino still giving Millington a bit of a hard time. Through Blanchimont we go. The block sticking to the back of Stoddard, but can't find a way through currently at this minute. Hoping to use that McLaren straight line to get past the Porsche, but can't at this moment. What other fights we got at the minute? Page under threat from Lee. He's got Craig as well, and Unsworth once again starting to become under pressure from the pack behind. Obviously, possibly due to the damage that he sustained earlier with Varga and the rest of the pack. Further back we saw a couple of cars go a little bit wide. I think that is Smith. He's had a little bit of a moment as Malwax also looking to work his way through, and Smith goes to the inside of Lesos to have a look on Tucker, but can't find a way through. The Aston Martin not the best exit there as Dronelander looking to make a move. A few cars in pit lane. Beto, Hunt and Privet all deciding to pit on this lap. If the damage was stuck in traffic, it's worth looking and changing strategy. But Unsworth there and Millington close to one another as Cabino sticking to the back of him. Cabino in the Lamborghini, and bringing onto the back of him is Greaves and Williams as well. So a 5-way fight at the minute, and Millington right in the middle of this scrap. Wainwright takes his fastest lap back. Stoddard ahead of De Block, Varga and Wolski. Page pulling away from Lee now, who's still got Craig for company, but it's Unsworth who's the cork in the bottle here, with 5 cars trying to find their way through. As we've also got Tucker still defending from Smith, Marex and Dronelander as well. As Best now comes onto the back of Broom, but can't go with him at this moment in time. As the block still hunts down the Porsche, kind of just sticking to one another at the minute. Hopefully they can work a little bit together to try and bring the gap down to the leading Ferrari. Obviously Wainwright looked very good in the first race. Not sure what happened to him in the end. He obviously made a mistake, dropped it, and the lead went away. Down the inside goes Lee on Page into the bus stop chicane. Page gives the racing room, but has the inside for the next part of the corner. Lee trying to get the traction. He's on the racing line, so he should get the grip. And then he'll have the inside for Lesource as well. So that should really much be job done for him. And Lee, his next target will be Wolski. A couple other cars coming in pit lane. That's Unsworth and Greaves deciding to pit this lap. So good move there from Lee. What else is going on? So Cabino and Cabino and Williams have now been released because Unsworth and Greaves have both pitted. Greaves obviously not going to be too impressed with that one due to the fact that it possibly was trying to get clear, as Beto only now leaving pit lane. So shows how long a stop this is. Oh, Millington's made a mistake. Millington has made a big mistake there and has ended up off. Who's that ahead? That's Hunt's. So possibly Beto and Hunt with damage. So they're trying to get rid of the damage and try and work their way through this pack. as Hunt now onto the back of the leaders, but he doesn't want to try and overtake them too early because they will be in a scrap as Gabino is trying to push the limits in that Lamborghini. Johnson now looking to go around the outside of the Nissan, with the Nissan going around the outside of the Aston Martin, and job done. Beto, meanwhile, is a lap down, and Lino wants to clear him as quickly as he possibly can so he can get in that scrap. Stoddard's made a mistake, and the block is now up into second place position, and Stoddard dropping into the clutches now are Varga. So the Porsche this time round makes the mistake, as the Ferrari of Wainwright still way out in front and comfortable at this moment in time. Page now has got back past Lee, so Lee's also made a mistake somewhere and is now in the clutches of Craig also. So the fight's happening left, right and centre. Gabino was 2/10 ahead of Williams. That gap is opened up. So it's all happening in the first quarter of this race. Stoddard making a vital error. Through Blanchimont we go, the fast left-hander. Down the inside once again goes Lee in the bus stop chicane. Page knows it's coming, gives the space, but Lee goes too deep. That time round wasn't really in control of the car, and Page loses a position and also probably gains a little bit of damage due to it as well. But the rest of the pack are looking to try and catch them. Another car into pit lane, I believe that was Williams. I believe it was. No, it was Williams. Sorry, it took a while for the pit limiter signal to pop up. But if you guys wanting to obviously get into a little bit of clean air, I think, as Page now I'm going to try and stick to the back of Lee as best he possibly can, as Craig pushing the limits up the hill. Smith once again onto the back of Tucker, and they're not far behind Cherrymore. Cherrymore's not far behind Simcoe either, so there's still fights happening all up and down the order. To the chicane they go. Smith trying to bring the gap down to the Lamborghini ahead, but he's been hunted down by the Nissan and the Ferrari of Johnson and Dronelander. They're on their way to try and find a way through. Oh, and Dronelander, that's a last minute dive. It goes up the inside and gives Johnson something to think about. A push and a shove out of the way, and Johnson giving in a flash of the light saying, look, come on dude, you just shoved me out the way. There's now Dronelander. Holds on to that position. I don't think Johnson is going to be too happy with that one. It's up towards the chicane they go, and Johnson is going to possibly take it to his own hands. He's going to send it up the inside, and I think Dronelander also made it a little bit easier as well there. So Craig has now got ahead of Page. So Page lost more positions. They were ahead of Lee, but Page now dropping back behind Lee and Craig now this time round. And Gabino's now onto the scene as we've got Hunt now pressurising the back of Williams, but he's a lap down. As Peckman also trying to work their way towards the back of this pack. As they go through the chicane. Lino's now onto the back of Marwex as well, through guys in pit lane. And Beto's second race has not really gone to plan. That's a Dronelander special, says Ken's in the chat. I see 20 of you currently watching the stream. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here. The blocks lost a little bit more time to Stoddard, who's currently third at the minute, hunting down the driver ahead. Wainwright, meanwhile, comfortably out in front with the block 6.3 behind. Varga trying to go with them, but it's just not got the pace here at Spa. Wolski's looks like he's had another moment through the chicane. And Lee is... Oh, hello! Page has sent it on the inside of Millington there. So it looked like Millington did get the job done on... looked like Gabino and Page. And Page sent it up the inside of Millington. And Millington there is is a lap down, I think. Yes, he is. He is a lap down. So that confused the hell out of me. Wainwright is absolutely fine. Yes, he is. He's way out in front and comfortable at this moment in time. But yeah, that threw me off a little bit. Page sending it on Millington. Williams has still got some lapped cars behind him, and obviously Millington there getting a little bit lost and confused of who was happening there. And Greaves, I think, not Greaves, it was Hunt who's managed to gain a position on Millington after all the confusion. So clever work there from Hunt to work his way through. Page and Gabino though close to one another. The Porsche versus the Lamborghini. Two of my favorite cars going at it at the minute, but the Porsche struggling here. Page under threat from the Lambo, and Gabino's had a great run through the right-hander here. And Gabino should get the job done. The silver driver passing the bronze around the outside as they go through Blanchimon. I think Page thinks better of it and just falls back into position. Meanwhile, Cherrymore still ahead of Simcoe. Then you've got Tucker and Smith all close to one another. Drone Lander has eventually got past Johnson again. Whether it was clean this time round, I'm not sure. As Malrex now onto the back of Lino. And Lino's not having the night he would have wanted. And Nino here trying to hold off Malrex. And like I said, second in the championship, and he's just not having the race, with Varga really pumping in some good lap time. Stoddard once again brings the gap down to a second to the block as they come up to the second sector split. And yeah, Wainwright extending the gap at the minute. Is still a second between these two, as Page sticks to the back of Gabino and trying to gain some lap time there. Sycamore though still ahead of Simcoe, sorry, ahead of Tucker, ahead of Smith, and ahead of Drone Lander. Johnson not too far behind them either. As Williams gets onto the rear of Page, but he's on the curb. He's had a moment, he's had a mistake. I'm not sure what's happened there to Williams. He's very slow. He's had a moment, I think, and that has allowed Hunt to unlap himself. So he's not lost out too much there, has Williams. He's just lost time, if anything, and trap position to other lapped cars. We go back to this gaggle of cars. Drone Lander now has caught onto the back of Smith. And Drone Lander's going to send it down the inside of Huon. And that's a good move. He gets it done. Smith, though, gives him the space and respect. And a lot of the time, you've got to really respect the other drivers for giving the racing room. As my ping looks like it's bouncing over the shot. So I'll keep an eye on what's going on there. As Stoddard now brings the gap down to less than 0.3 of a second. So either the block's had a moment, or he just seems to be struggling at this moment in time. Car in pit lane. That's a McLaren by the looks of things, and that is Williams. So he's got more damage to his car. Drone Lander now clearing Smith. Smith has now got Johnson for company. Is Johnson going to send it into the chicane? He goes to the outside. He's going to try and brake later than the Honda. Try and have the inside for the next part of the corner, but can't do so there. Just has to fall into position. And the block's had a moment. He's dropped further back as Stoddard is now ahead. So I don't know if the block's had a moment up Eau Rouge and Radion. Also, Varga, where is he? Varga's in pit lane. Oh, he scared me then. I thought he was disconnected then. No, he's just ended up in the pit lane. Wolski, though, in currently P4, trying to bring the gap down to the block, which is only 3 seconds. So the McLarens are lucky. They're having a kind of a weird moment here. A lot of the McLarens seem to just be struggling at this stage of the race. as Peckman now is confirming next. He's now got Cherrymore for company, Simcoe, and also Tucker's gone with him, Drone Lander as well in the Ferrari. Morex there currently 18th at the minute, still giving Lino a bit of a hard time. And also we've got Millington and Privet who are close to one another. I say that as Millington's extended the gap to him. And Millington's still behind Williams. And Wolski once again brings the gap down. It was 3 seconds. It's 2.2 now, separating him and the block. So the block really seems to be struggling at this stage of this race. And Wainwright well out in front. And now Stoddard comes to the line. What's the gap going to be? It's 8.9, so the Ferrari just on a tear at this time. Cabino's trying to hunt down Craig now. That gap's coming down. But now we look to Peckman, Cherrymore and Simcoe. This is the closest fight on track. Johnson's also catching Smith. And also we look to Marex hunting down Lino. And Vargas now onto the back of Greaves as well. So that's how much Vargas lost out. Greaves is pitted in the Porsche, and they were kind of there or thereabouts, and I think Vargas was ahead. He's now ended up behind the Porsche. Broome, meanwhile, is behind Unsworth, but they've also got a car between them. Is that... It's not Williams. It is I think it's Lee. Yes, it is. So Lee's in between them. So it's going to be hurting his progress. And Gabino's sticking to the back of the other Lamborghini that he's racing. As Tucker has a better run through the... Oh, I'd say a better run. He's had to cut the chicane. As you see there, Simcoe there losing out to Drone Lander there, and what a move for him. Drone Lander now on the back of the Lamborghini of Tucker. Gabino once again giving Craig a bit of a waking up here. Vargas still racing Greaves. Greaves goes a little bit deep. Vargas going to try and go around the outside of the second part. That'd be a great move if he pulls it off. Make sure he gets the better traction, but he's going up against a Porsche that's much better in the traction zones, but the BMW is better in a straight line down the inside of Les Sources. There you go. And Sam Greaves there losing out to Benny Varga. Straight in the toe goes Sam Greaves. He's going to be too close to the back of the BMW that he's going to struggle to see the top of Eau Rouge and Radion as they go up the hill now. And managed to negotiate it quite well. Drone Lander, meanwhile, still got ahead of Tucker now, and Simcoe as well. So Simcoe ended up dropping a little bit further back. And Johnson was racing with Smith. Smith's dropped down the order. He's behind Malwex and Lino once again. And Gabino gets right on the back bumper of Craig, and Craig trying to hold them off. Sam Williams now decides to pit as we're coming up to the halfway stage of this race. It's been a good race so far for the Pro-Am drivers, sorry. And there, Gabino with a much better run up the hill, heading towards the chicane now. Is he going to get the job done? No, he's not, as Craig does a brilliant job of defending. And looking left, looking right, and he can't find a way through. And Craig holds off the other Lamborghini. Page, meanwhile, is following this gaggle of cars who are slowly working their way onto the back of that scrap. That's Cherrymore, who's had a moment. He's allowed Drone Lander. Who's he let through? Tucker, Simcoe. Johnson's gone through now. Is Lino about to make a move on him? Where is Cherrymore? He's got to go in again now. So Cherrymore had some form of issue or moment there at the top of the chicane and ended up dropping so many places. So not what he would have worked out. Varga still pulling away from Greaves as well, as Williams and Smith are both in the pits. So this is going to be interesting to see where Varga falls into place regarding these guys. So where is Williams? He's now currently... So Varga was 5th or 4th in this race. And the green is still not gone on Williams yet. It's a long, long pit lane. He's near enough at the end of the pit lane anyway. So when Williams does eventually get released, he's going to end up in some decent clean air, I think. Unsworth is, yeah, middle of nowhere. So, yeah, Williams is in a good area of clean air right now. Craig, though, has now lost out to Unsworth. And there, contact is at the block in the middle of all that. Yes, it is. So something's happened to... the block to end himself all the way down there. Page has ended up with contact with him, as Hunt as well, I think. No, yeah, it was Hunt in the middle of all that as well. As we've just lost a driver. We're losing a few drivers by the looks of things. We've lost 2 and another. We'll keep an eye on it as well. So 26 currently in the session still. But who we lost? Wainwright still out in front. Who we lost? Hunt is still in. We'll see when they come back into the session. But a few drivers been disconnected there. Gabino is one that's made a place. It was Wolski that's been disconnected. Oh, Wolski was in a good position as well, looking strong. Who else has been disconnected? That's the question. Beto now is ahead of Williams, so points being gained back. Obviously, a few disconnections is going to help him as well. Simcoe was another one that was disconnected as well. Oh, such a shame for the guys who have been disconnected. They were looking good in this one. But Wainwright still leading the way. So keep an eye on who else is going to make it back into the session. There was about 30 cars I think we had, and we started losing some at this stage of this race. Such a shame for those guys, as obviously the block, Hunt as well, also tripping over one another in the bus stop chicane. So at the minute, a lot of cars spread out at the minute. Hunt obviously with damage now, and has got Broom now for company in the Honda. So a little bit messy coming to the end of this race, or into the midpoint of this race actually. To go into the chicane. Game is the final best, says Berserker in the chat. Still only 27, so I'm not sure who else we missed in that one. But as you can see, the gaps are all spread out, except for Johnson, Tucker and a Drone Lander. Obviously a lot of cars deciding to pit at this stage of the race, as we are now coming up to the halfway stage of the race. Guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. It has been a fun night's worth of racing and been very entertaining to watch. As we'll head up towards the top end of the second, Wolski has got back out on track. I'm not sure where that's put him now, probably to the back of the pack. He's 22nd, so I think he's ahead of Privet still. So he's still got decent points out of that. Best now pits. So a lot of drivers, I think, are going to gain from a couple of disconnections and a couple of silly little incidences. But Drone Lander still on the back of Johnson and Tucker. Wolski's obviously a lap down and kind of have to sit and watch. How is it about points when you're disconnected? Sadly, if you're disconnected, you have to try and get back into the session. If you refuse to return back to session, I think it's either we give him last place points. So, but obviously, if a disconnection is a clear, obvious, not their fault, we can't do anything about it. So, as you see there, Johnson goes a bit deep, and Drone Lander goes back through. These two have had a right old scrap tonight, as Drone Lander and Johnson swapping and changing positions. And then now I'm trying to get onto the back of Tucker. Is Tucker close enough to Page? Yeah, so they're catching Page as well. So obviously Page being caught up in that incident earlier on in the bus stop chicane has now been caught by Tucker, Drone Lander, and now Johnson in the Nissan. As Marek's now also onto the back of Smith. Unsworth is there as well. So Unsworth, caught up in all the silly incidences earlier on, is now with them. Cherrymore's there as well. So there's still fights that are close to one another to keep an eye on. And your top two now pit. Lee obviously now continuing on, thinking he's going to try and lead this one. Cabino in P4. There you go, Duffin's answered your question there. So Tucker still ahead of Drone Lander and Johnson. This is kind of like your closest. Oh, contact there! That's Marex and Unsworth. Who else has ended up in the wall? That's Lee avoiding it. I think that was also Williams trying to stay out of the way. Unsworth has retired and has left the session, I think. He's returned to pit lane at least, but he's left the session. And there, Lee avoiding it, and Williams is in the middle of all that as well. So, yeah, Marex ended up ahead of those guys. Contact there. Williams, I'm not sure what's happened to him, as he's let Cherrymore through by the looks of things. So I'm not sure what's happened to Williams there, as Wainwright has now pitted and has come back out leading the race, or leading the pitters, as Varga is only now going through the bus stop chicane. That's how far behind Varga is to Wainwright. He's now going up towards the chicane. So a good session run here for Wainwright, and looking good and in control. Ooh, Drone Lander makes contact with Tucker. Tucker ends up in the wall. Major damage to the front end of his car, and that's going to be a lot of damage to repair for him. Cars are going to come flying past now. Lino will gain on that one as well. So poor Tucker with damage to the front end of his car. Simcoe has managed to get back into the race as well, so he'll be able to gain some points out of this. Oh, what a moment there for poor Tucker. Major damage to the front end of his car, which is going to take quite a bit to repair. Varga, meanwhile, has now cleared Atherton, who's still yet to pit, as now Gabino and Craig, the two Lamborghinis, now up to pit, with now 26.5 minutes left to go in this race. Like I said, guys, still a lot to come in the rest of this season. We've still got 3 more rounds after here at SPA-Francorchamps, our last night race of the season. Next round on the calendar will be, that's Page. I think Page has had another moment. It's very, very slow and has allowed a lot of cars through there. Yeah, so next round of the championship, we'll be heading to South Africa for the next round of the season. We'll be heading to Kyalami. And then we head to the United States for the penultimate round of the season at Circuit of the Americas, and then finishing things off at the home of SimPlay Motorsport of Donington Park. Right, Williams has brought the gap down to Cherrymore and Marex, who are not a million miles away behind Smith as well. So Williams here could gain some good points and positions here. Go through the S's now. Leading this group is Lee. He's actually at the front of this group, and he looks like he's struggling a little bit here. He's got pressure from Millington behind, obviously a lap down. Atherton's still yet to pit. as Wainwright continues leading the way ahead of Storrett, who's just look at the gap he has. He's going down into no name, and Storrett is now just going past him on the map. So a big healthy gap. That's 14.1 seconds he has. Gabino now in currently after the pit stops third, as Craig there goes a little bit defensive. Looks like he's got he hasn't got anyone racing him. He's just clearing Atherton, and Atherton gets passed by I think that's a Porsche of Hunt. Yeah, so no, it's Greaves lapping him, sorry. So Craig has just pitted, and these two now racing is Craig and Greaves, and down the inside is Greaves going into Porsche. Craig sees him, last minute gives him the racing room, but Greaves can't get up the inside and get the job done. Nothing, just have to sit and watch at the minute. Smith goes a little bit sketchy through there, and Cherrymore not the best run through Eau Rouge and Radion, and he's going them in. Oh, and Williams takes too much grass to make sure he doesn't make contact with Cherrymore. But meanwhile, Aston Martin versus Honda as we go up to the chicane. Marex and Smith going wheel to wheel, and Williams just about to be on the scene as well, but he's taking too much curd and the back end of the car goes round, and Smith gives him racing room. Great racing between these two as Marex nearly making contact. They're nearly rubbing one another, and Smith trying to squeeze him to the apex of the corner to tighten it for him, but Aston Martin not able to get the job done. And some great racing there between the Honda, Aston, McLaren, now Ferrari, and jumping onto the back of the scene is another lapped Millington, who's once again just caught this pack so quickly and is not able to do anything to it. The Aston Martin once again looking to the inside of Pouon, but can't get the job done. Johnson now in pit lane. Problem is now Marex is under pressure from Williams, but Williams actually more under pressure from Cherrymore behind. Millington just having to just sit and watch. Just behind them is Page, who wants to get back into the scrap as well. But once again, Millington's in the middle of that scrap. You can see there Williams being disturbed by the cars in front, and gets a better run actually through the slower corners as Millington now tries to get out of the way for Page. Yes, he does, and through goes Page. Johnson meanwhile has pitted and now come out. Varga is still in that ahead of Gabino at the minute, so he's currently in a net third place at the minute. Where is Johnson? He's still in pit lane. Atherton goes through, Craig goes through, so Johnson yet to get to the end of the pit lane. He's going to end up still behind a Drone Lander, but then you've got this whole gaggle of cars as well, as Williams has got past Marex, so one position gain for him. Can he now get Smith as well? Further back, Page is on the attack. Is Cherrymore now going to send up the inside of the Aston Martin as he all slow right down, and Millington hits the back of Page. And to be fair, all those cars slowed down unnecessarily slowly than they needed to. Obviously, that's going to help out Hunt. It's like Cherrymore went to go for the move, didn't know if he wanted to, then came to a stop, as did Marex, and Page then stopped as well, and Millington just hit the brakes as he normally would and hit the back of them. So, yeah, those three, I think, a little bit unsure what they wanted to do there. Track has not really hit optimum either, so the track has stayed fast. Meanwhile, up ahead, Williams has now got ahead of Smith, so he has regained there, and down the inside Marex gains on the Ferrari of Cherrymore. Wolski has cleared Williams by the listings as well as Drone Lander now pursuits onto at the back of Craig. Cherrymore still on the back of the Aston Martin of Marex. As we go through Pouon into the last third of this race. Still there, Page is on the back of this group. Now Hunt is joining the group as well, so this could get interesting between these guys. Marex gets ahead of the Ferrari of Cherrymore, but Cherrymore is coming back at him again. Page there in the Porsche, the two Porsches of Hunt and Page really now starting to hustle the back of these guys. And Aston Martin a little bit slow there as Cherry Moore now looks to the inside of Blanchimon. Page kind of not fighting with Hunt, lets him go through. Maybe going to use him to try and work his way through. Maybe think, hang on a minute, Williams got through. He's quicker driver. Maybe I can use Hunt to get my way through. As Marex looks to the inside and Cherry Moore just brakes a little bit later, so he wasn't quite confident on the brakes there. The one to keep an eye on now is Hunt, who's going to be right on the back. And once again, Millington, after making contact with the cars in front and dropping back a little bit, he's caught them back up again. And once again, has to try and make sure he doesn't hit the back of them. Meanwhile, Johnson is now onto the back of Craig because Craig's got major damage by the looks of things and trying to survive. Drone Lander's gone past. And Craig now trying to get himself back to pit lane. Hopefully there'll be another position for Williams as well as Cherry Moore pulls away, as we see there Hunt now attacking Marex instead. The Porsche looking like it's got the legs ever so slightly on the Aston Martin, heading up to the chicane. And around the outside goes the Porsche. And job done for him. Now Page is now on to the back bumper once again of the Aston Martin. And a good little scrap between those guys. This time Hunt will now catch on to the back of Cherry Moore, and the group will concertina up again. Lino's decided to go very long into this race, as has Lee as well. So these guys probably fueled right up to the brim, as is Atherton. So hopefully they're using the chaos to help them out, stay out of trouble, and gain some positions towards the end. But Wainwright comfortably out in front, ahead of Starrard, with Varga in the kind of net top three at this moment. Again, Hunt is just allowing Marex to just get into his toe. They work together to get back onto the rear of Cherry Moore. As now Atherton is coming into pit lane. It's Page now onto the back of Marex once again. And like I said, poor Millington seems to have the pace on these guys, but just can't do anything with it. Into the chicane, there you go. Aston Martin having to go a little bit defensive on the Porsche of Page. Atherton still in pit lane at the minute. Where's he going to come out after all this? A little bit further down the order, I think, as Hunt is going to have a good run through turn one. And yeah, Atherton's only now just got to the pit lane. It's quite a long way to go. Ow. As Cherry Moore takes a little bit too much curb going up the hill. And here comes Hunt now in the slipstream. Cherry Moore now trying to defend from Hunt. Syrian Hunt was dropped to the back of the pack. He's done a good job of working his way up. And Varga gets a drive-through penalty for track limits at the worst circuit you could do it. Where did he get it? He got it before Pouon. So, yeah, it must have been on the exit of the right-hander. But Varga with a drive-through. That is big for the championship. Obviously, Lino's still yet to pit. He's now in pit lane. And Varga is going to have to come into the pit lane himself. He's not decided to do it now. But, yeah, Varga, drive-through penalty for track limits. I forgot about track limits, and the circuit is quite bad for it around here as well. So, wow, Varga making a mistake there. As Hunt now just loses a little bit more speed and momentum on the back of Cherry Moore. Really, this is your only closest fight on track at the minute. Page is on the back of Marex, but that's a gap's extent. What's happened to Smith there? Oh, Smith's had a moment. He's dropped behind these guys. Broom's nowhere near him, so Smith had a moment on his own and has dropped down the order. It was a shame for him. Lee, meanwhile, still the only car yet to pit. Only 15 minutes left of this race. Page once again onto the back of Marex, but Marex is just pulling away. You've got Millington just behind them as well. Cherrymore comes to the hairpin of Les Source. Meanwhile, further back, Marex has made a mistake in the chicane. That's going to allow Page to go down the inside of Les Source. And he's going to get that job done. Where was Johnson in the end from Lino? He's coming out of the pits now. There is Craig. Craig's obviously carrying major damage, so Lino is going to end up behind Williams as well. So Williams gained some points there on Lino in the championship. So where is Varga? Going to lose out here too. He's going to lose out to Lino and Williams. Obviously, Kowalski obviously lost out through the disconnection, so he's not going to gain some points on him either. So yeah, it's going to be a big ass, but Williams will gain points back on Wolfski now. As we are ticking down here towards the end of this session. And into the chicane we go. Goes Williams. Varga now serving his drive through. That's going to hurt him big time. He's only now coming through the hairpin section. So Greaves has got ahead of him. Drone Lander might get ahead of him, as will Johnson. The question is, will Williams get near him? That is the question. And there, Craig suffering with the damage on the front end has allowed Cherrymore now to work his way through. And Craig could have fought back, but he's chosen not to, and it's just allowed the cars to work their way through. And through comes Hunt as well. You can see that just how much Craig is struggling. As Varga still in the pit lane. He's coming to the exit though, but I think Varga might get away with this one. Lee is now coming through to pit, and Varga is going to be released off the limiter. Drone Lander's gone through, so is Johnson. So yeah, Varga has not lost points to Williams here, so that is important for him in his championship fight. He's now obviously got a reset of points for him. Reset for pushing the limits. So we've got only a few more minutes left of this session. And it's now going to come down to the end of this one. Who's going to come out on top? Wainwright, though, comfortably out in front, with Stoddard now coming through the final corner as well. The gap is quite big between these two. The gap is 17.4 actually. So yeah, shows how good his race has been for Wainwright. No real threat at the minute. The only time he's lost the lead is when he had to pit. As Lino now looking to be under pressure from Cherrymore. We are still going and racing here. Tucker and Simcoe still yet to do their pit stops. But either a disconnection or incidents has put them towards the back of the pack, sadly. As Craig now losing out to Page and Marex as well. So the gaps have all stretched out quite a bit. It is now the gap between Alino and Cherrymore. That's your closest on track at this time. Can Cherrymore do anything about the fellow Ferrari driver? That is the question. Through Blanchimont we go, and Lino currently was second in the championship, and is now he's had a not a bad Spa, but a Spa one to forget for sure. He's definitely not had the outright pace as Cherrymore, the leading bronze driver at the minute, looking very good. Page in that 13th place position. So we're coming to the end of this race. And then they come into Les Sources. So Hunt also constantly it up. Like I said, Hunt's done a good recovery drive here, considering the fact that he was spun around at the start of the race. He was last by the end of it, and he's worked his way up near enough into a top 10 position. If he clears these two, it will be a top 10. I think Williams has had a mistake somewhere because he's lost out to Varga quite a bit, and he's ended up back with these guys as Cherrymore has had a moment through the chicane. Obviously, he's had to slow down to not get a penalty, and here comes Hunt to go up the inside. Job done for him. So Hunt now in front, so maybe he can do a little bit more damage to Lino. So with only less than 9 minutes left to go in this race, it's Wainwright who leads the way with Stoddard in second. Third is Gabino, with Lee in fourth after his stop. Greaves in P5 with Dronelander in sixth. Johnson in seventh with Varga in eighth. Ninth is Williams. Lino in 10th. Rounds off your top 10. Hunting him down in 11th though with Cherrymore in 13th. Page in, Cherrymore in 12th and Page in 13th. Marex in 14th with Craig in 15th. Smith in 16th with Broom in 17th. Best 18th. Privet in 19th, Beto in 20th, Atherton in 21st, Wolski in 22nd, Williams in 23rd, Millington at 24th, Tucker at 25th, and still yet to do his stop, and Simcoe at the back of the pack. As we see a couple of cars going off, that is Craig, I think, having his own moment. Yes, it is. So Smith is going to be hunting him down in no time. And poor Craig, the damage to the car. He's obviously not wanting the pit because it's such a long pit lane, plus the damage. He's trying to live with the pain, but I think it's about to come and bite him in the backside, because here comes Broom now, and Craig doing what he can with what he's got, and I'm afraid he's going to keep just dropping down the order bit by bit as we go through Blanchimont. There goes the Honda, and through he goes. Sooner or later, Best is then going to be on the scene. Privet not too far away, and I think Beto just a little bit outside that. So Craig has just got to try and hang in there for as long as he possibly can until the end of this race. Meanwhile, Hunt is right back on the rear bumper of Lino, who's not had a best run through the Eau Rouge Radion section. And through the outside goes the Porsche. Should be able to outbrake the Ferrari, and Lino's actually not really fought it that hard. He's actually allowed Hunt through, so easy position gain for him. As Best has already cleared Craig, and next it is Privet who's then going to catch him, and I think Beto might just run out of time to catch him. He's got a little bit of front end damage himself, so it's going to be a bit difficult for him. Lino meanwhile still onto the back of Hunt after being passed up towards the chicane. As we are now coming to the end of this session. It's been another great night's worth of racing. Been entertaining to watch. Lino, they're still on the rear bumper of the Porsche, still giving him a bit of a hard time. As the clock starts to tick away, Marex once again has also brought the gap down to the Porsche as well. Smith there just got the leader behind him now as Wainwright clears the traffic as best he can. Lino, they're just losing out by the things to Hunt, so Hunt's pulled away as Cherrymore now trying to cash onto the back of him, but Page and Marex are still going at it right to the very end. 5 minutes left of this session. Through La Source goes the Aston Martin, still trying to catch onto the back of the Porsche of Page. As Hunt is caught. Oh no, he hasn't. I thought for a moment there, I thought like he caught Williams towards the end then. But Hunt has recovered himself up into a top 10 position, so good recovery drive from him. And good to see him work his way back towards the front. Johnson, a good drive from him, as is Drone Lander as well. They stayed out of trouble. Gabino with a solid drive to get himself into the top 3 as well. So guys, just staying out of trouble. Obviously, disconnections do help as well. So a lot of the drivers managing to gain a few positions because of that. As Malrex once again gets a little bit closer to the back of the Porsche of Page. Oh, wrong button. As I said, we work our way slowly to the end of this race, heading slowly to South Africa for the next round of the season. We head to Kyalami and that dreaded curb known as the Cheetah. The Cheetah that pretty much every driver detests, every driver hates, and probably only one car I think that I've ever, well, 2 cars I've ever seen it go over the curb quite comfortably was the Mustang and the Chevy Camaro on the GT4s. So if you're not in those cars, I think that curb is going to be pretty lethal for you. Meanwhile, Lino has caught back onto the rear of Hunt, so maybe Hunt's had a little bit of a Larry moment. But Kyalami next on the calendar, and looking forward to going there. Another one of my favourite circuits that is on the calendar. And we'll see what everyone can do there. Hopefully the weather will stay dry. Or wet. I like some wet races. We haven't had a wet race in a while. Be nice to have some tricky conditions, especially for the pro, as a lot of drivers in the Discord seem to think that the pros have it easy week in, week out. So I'm always up for a bit of wet weather, but being in South Africa and every time we ran Kyalami, I don't think we've ever had a chance of rain. Maybe a sprinkle or 2, but that's really been it. But we'll see what comes ahead of us. As Lino was catching on to the back of Hunt and seems to have dropped back a little bit here. Bentley loves the curves, says PN in the chat. Fair play. I'm not really a Bentley fan, so I've never really drove the Bentley to really attack that curve either. So, yeah. Page and Malrex still going at it. We're still less than a second between them, as we're just under 2 minutes. And where is Wainwright? He's going to start. He's on his penultimate lap. He's going to do one more lap after this one. Cherrymore actually getting closer to Lino towards the end of this one. Guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. Put a message in the chat on who you think your driver of the day should be. As Malrex there going through the Pouon corner, trying to hunt down the Porsche right to the very end here. He's probably going to have 2 more attempts at it, I think. As yeah, he's not going to get lapped quite yet by Wainwright, who's a little bit further back. Through the right-hander, and again the Aston Martin not quite close enough. He's in the slipstream now, so maybe Malrex could do something as they get to the bus stop. And with the gap that Wainwright does have, he may be able to just kind of coast his way to the line, but I don't think he's going to run out of time. He's not going to run out of time. I mean, he's definitely going to be under threat if he tried to back off and slow down. But the Porsche is going to try and hang in there as best he can with the Aston Martin hunting him down. This is the only fight really on track. Where is Wainwright? There he is. He comes to the line now, and obviously he will start his final lap here. And the gap is 24 seconds, I think it said. So he starts his final lap here. So even if he slowed right down and wait to the second, Stoddard wouldn't have got him. So it's still a risk. But Stoddard would have come into the chicane But Wainwright, absolute masterclass in this one. He's been absolutely dominant, and he starts his final lap here. Marex has made a mistake through the Eau Rouge and Radion section. Beto has caught Craig and has passed Craig. So sadly, Craig has dropped down the order. Wolski won't catch him though. And Beto has got ahead of him. There is Wolski, or he might... final lap. Craig is going to hang in there, I think, for that 20th position ahead of Wolski, but still a fair effort from him. Simcoe now pits. Yeah, look at the gap. Wainwright down, heading towards No Name now, and Stoddard's only now coming up to the top end of the circuit. So that is how good they've been. They've been a solid drive nonetheless. But for me, the man to keep an eye on in this one was Gabino. He's done a brilliant job of staying out of trouble and getting that Lamborghini up into third place. Lee also another solid drive from him. Greaves a good drive. Drone Lander and Johnson using the clean air to their advantage. Varga, you know, damage limitations. He is going to walk away with some good points here. Still leading the championship quite comfortably. Was Beto's had a moment through there, and I think he's just allowed Gabino through as well. But this man, he has been unfazed. No one's been able to threaten him. No one's been able to really challenge him here tonight at Spa in the second race. He looked good for the first race, and some form of mistake put him off and lost him the points in the sprint and could have made it a double. But Wainwright, in the end, is just going to have to settle for a race win in this one as he heads into the bus stop chicane. He won last time out at Bathurst Mountain Panorama. He wins here at Spa. Wainwright wins the feature race. Congratulations to him. Coming to the line there, I couldn't tell who it was. It was Millington crossing the line. And now we go to the Porsche of Stoddard, who's now coming up to the bus stop chicane. Who else has crossed the line? Now there's Tucker finishing down the order. Stoddard's gone deep into the final corner. But through the chicane here comes Stoddard to make it a P2 for him. A great job for him. Gabino now heading towards Blanchimont as well. Smith finishing 15th ahead of Broome, ahead of Best for 15th, 16th and 17th place position. 18th going the way of Privet, but into the final chicane, completing the final podium positions. It is Gabino who will take a podium position in this one. A great job from him. As Lee also now heads towards the bus stop chicane. Big gap separating them. Stoddard was 26.4 behind Wainwright. Gabino was 24.5 behind Stoddard. And Lee now comes to the line. He now comes to finish in P4. A solid job for him. And he was 17.4 as well. Greaves now comes to the final chicane. And he finishes in a top 5 position for him. Good job for him. And Drone Lander and Johnson still within tow of one another. Great points from them. There's going to be a 6th and 7th for those guys. Who has crossed the line? Beto in the end, 19th. Craig, 20th. 21st for Wolski in the end, as Drone Lander crosses the line for 6th. Johnson with a solid drive crosses the line for 7th. Varga, damage limitations in the end. He will come home for that 8th place position. Williams in the end, 9th. Lino losing some big points in that one, so I think the positions are going to swap around between Williams and Lino, but Varga still extends his championship lead, I think, leaving this one. Williams crosses the line now to finish in a 9th place position. Hunt now crosses the line as well to take 10th. Lino in the end for 11th. Cherrymore 12th. Page in the end, hanging off in the end ahead of then Marex to complete the race here at SPA-Francorchamps. What a race that has been. As we'll just see if anyone joins the commentary bot, but that was a good race nonetheless, an exciting one for sure, and Spa always delivers in great racing. Still yet to come this season, Like I said, it's still 3 races left on the calendar. We head to Kyle Army, Circuit of the Americas, and Donington Park still yet to come towards the end of this season. No more night races, no more early morning or evening races whatsoever. Also, if you want to be a Patreon, guys in a Discord want to have a look at this, it is £3 each month, and you reserve your race number. You obviously get priority of signups, also track suggestions towards further seasons, pre-season promo images, and you also get your social medias automatically shared on the others on SimPlay as well. And also just want to say a massive thank you to our Patreons as well, which are all the guys in the screen right now, which is Benny Rook, Ramsel, Graham Sutcliffe, Luke Saunders, Clouden, Matt Wright, Millington, Sny, Harris, Cardinal, Stardog, Best, Taylor, and Argent as well. So thank you to all those guys who follow us. Also, a massive thank you to our sponsors as well. Make sure you give them a like and follow. Audio Sport and Design Manchester as well. And I think the championship standings are now being updated as we speak. I believe Team Audio Sport have extended their championship lead by the looks of things. I don't know if Matt is still messing around with it currently. I believe he should have finished it by the looks of things. But we do have 2 guys joining us in the comms box at the minute. I'll just make sure I can get the settings correct for the stream. So we'll see if I probably butchered his name all night long, but Stoddard is in us with the chat. He's probably going to confirm to me that I probably said it wrong the entire time, but have I got it wrong? Stoffard. Good old dyslexia kicking in. Thank you for chatting, because that helps me see that the properties on this stream is wrong. So I'm trying to get that right. So try. So either way, for you night, it's been an interesting night worth of racing for yourself. The Porsche, I wasn't expecting to be such a good car around here. Obviously, kind of a bit slow on the straights, but very, very good in the corners. Do you think that's what helped you in that middle sector?
I think the drive off of turn 1 really helps get the pace in. The middle sector, I know Wright was at least a second faster in the middle sector, but had a good half second on him in the first sector. So I think that's where it excels, unless I'm not driving right in the second sector. Who knows?
Well, to be fair, that makes sense. Obviously, the Porsche very, very good in traction zones, and yeah, you two just seem to be a little bit the class of the field tonight. Obviously, both looking good in the first race, and I believe you took so much has happened in this race already. I've already forgot what happened in the sprint, but obviously a good night's worth of racing for yourself. Good points. You took a win and a second place in this one. Heading off to Kyle Army South Africa next. I know for a fact the Porsche is very good round there. Is that a circuit you're looking forward to going to next?
I'm very excited for Kyle Army. Have a wee soft spot for that one, and yeah, it's hopefully going to be a good night for that one as well.
Just talk about obviously that feature race. Not quite as exciting as the sprint. It seemed like quite and lonely race. Obviously, the track temperature being quite low as well. Track never really getting to optimum as well. How tricky was it to kind of just keep the car on edge, or was it a lot easier than you thought it was going to be?
It wasn't too bad. I've been in this server all day. I think I've maybe overdriven this track today, so I kind of got used to all those little spots. But one part got me as I was catching up on Wayne, and left me with a bit of damage. But it was a bit lonely watching him fly off into the distance.
Well, nonetheless, congratulations on a brilliant night's worth of racing, and a race win and a second place to your name as well. Congrats.
Thank you very much. And Wayne, I'm sorry about that touch in the first race.
Oh, okay. So that now understands things. As we now go to Wayne, as we should be able to hear him now. Wow, that Ferrari was very dominant in that feature race, Wayne. Absolutely brilliant driving there in the second race. But by the sounds of things, race 1 was a little bit of a contact.
It was. I had a bit of a bad run up the last straight into the bus stop. I took the middle of the track, and I think I've braked a little bit early and I've just caught Stafford by surprise there, and he's just caught the back of me. I don't think there was nothing in it. It's just one of those things. So
hard racing.
Still got P. Yeah, exactly. It's racing, and we still got P7 out of this, so it wasn't the end of the world. And I think I got fastest lap in that race as well. So the pace was there, so I was confident for the main race.
Obviously, your Ferrari just looked dominant tonight. In the end, you finished 26 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. Just shows how much pace you did have in the car. Was it a possibility of a complete sweep here tonight? Obviously, other than that contact, were you that confident here at Spa?
I think it was definitely on. It was definitely on. The first race was a lot closer than the second one, and I genuinely don't know whether I'd have held stuff out behind me, but it was definitely a possibility. So you just take a lot of confidence from that, knowing that it's there in the locker. So yeah, I'm just really happy with how the night's panned out, to be honest.
Is it a circuit that you tend to like? Is it a circuit that you tend to go well at? Here at Spa?
No, I don't like Spa at all. So to win by 26 seconds, was it? I'm so surprised, but the car felt great. So
well, in the words of wisdom from myself, a circuit that you tend to hate, for me, it's British circuits. The circuits you tend to hate, you tend to go well at. So keep that in mind in the future. When you come to Spa, you might do all right.
I will do, mate. I will do.
Next round of the season is Kyalami, a circuit that I think is fond of everyone's. We all seem to love the South African circuit. How are you feeling going into there? Obviously, the dreaded curb coming up. What's your thoughts going into it?
I can't wait. I love Kyalami, so I can't wait to have a go around next week. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Is it going to be round 3 between you two then for the next one?
I hope so. I really hope so. Yeah, because I've had a few battles with him before, and they've always been really good battles. So hopefully we can carry that on next week.
Well, I look forward to watching it in the stream. Nonetheless, Wainwright, congratulations on the win tonight, and I look forward to seeing you all at Kyalami as well.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Take care.
And that is it from the Pro-Ams this evening. It's been a fantastic night's worth of racing. Regarding the championship standings, I believe Varga is still leading the way. Yes, he is ahead of Lino and then ahead of Williams as well. Cabino moving up to P4 with Wolski as well. Dronelander and Hunt in 7th. Unsworth 8th. 9th is De Block and Taylor still in 10th. That is it from myself and the Pro-Ams. We will see you tomorrow night for the pros hitting the circuit next. Hopefully Matthew Duffin will be able to bring you the stream. Sadly, we missed out last time out at Bathurst Mount Panorama for the pros, but we'll see how that all pans out for them here at Spa. But for Pro-Ams and for Darren Cup, they now focus on South Africa for the next round of the championship at Kyalami. It's really hotting up towards the end of this season. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. From myself and everyone here at SimPlay Motorsport, good night.